Yes,
Hello to all the viewers who are joining us from around the world, all our buyers from worldwide, and all our exhibitors from India, governments, and all the tourism industry stakeholders. On the sidelines of the Indian Tourism Mart 2021 virtual, welcome to the leadership panels that we have, where we are discussing extremely critical topics which are impacting the future of the Indian tourism, travel, and hospitality. This particular session is extremely critical about the way forward for the tourism, the travel intermediaries, and we have the president of TAFI, Pradeep Lulla, who is going to take this session forward. I am Ashish Gupta, consulting CEO for Faith, and I welcome you all. Thank you very much to all the panelists for joining in. Pradeep, you're a go, please. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish, and namaste, and welcome to all our international viewers. This is a very important session because it connects, it's talking about our travel agents. And the topic for this session is Way Forward for Indian Intermediaries in the Connected and Contemporary Economy. For this, we have specially chosen the speakers who are actually on the basis of the Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar, India Growth. All the speakers over here are basically have grown from the grassroots and have now come to a level where they are recognized everywhere. We have 5 panelists for this. Panelists and speakers. We have Meenakshi Sharma. She's the Deputy Director, Ministry of Tourism. Welcome, Meenakshi ji. Then we have Seema Makhija. She's from Travel Voyages, a corporate agent, and she's going to give perspectives on the how the corporate business would be going forward. Then we have Mr. Ramji, who is from the segment. He's from the film segment. He specializes in film tourism, whether it's looking at the locations or getting people to go in a particular location. And he's an expert in that. He's going to give his views on that. We have then Mr. Madhav Oza, who's again is a stalwart, a veteran on B2B online business. And he's going to give his views on how business would be going forward in that. And of course, we have Mr. Devendra Parulekar, who's the founder of Saffron Stays. And again, with this pandemic, the stay vacations have become a very important thing. And he's going to give his opinions on that. So with this, I welcome all the speakers. And now we will firstly basically have the speakers give their views. And then we would, from that, we would just ask them questions. And of course, the viewers can later also send the questions to Faith if they want any reply from that or want to know anything. And of course, we would share all their informations on that. So starting with our first speaker, Seema Makhija. She's MD Travel Voyages India. She's a corporate agent, and Seema has been in this business. I mean, she has started in travel industry 3 decades ago. She was basically, she was a travel executive when she started, but now she runs a very prominent corporate agency called Travel Voyages India. And she's got currently, she's operating from Mumbai and Pune, and she handles mainly high-end corporate business. And she would be giving her views on how now in this connected and our post-COVID, how the business would be and how impressions on that. So Seema, I welcome you to give your speech now.
Thank you, Mr. President.
dear government dignitaries, industry colleagues, friends from the travel fraternity, I hope you are all safe and well. I just would like to highlight on some issues concerning the travel industry, which contributes to nearly 136 billion to India's GDP and is expected to further grow to 280.5 billion by
Send that message
2026.
to Nagini.
Hospitality and tourism are also among the highest employment generating sectors, among the top 10 sectors in the country with the highest volume of foreign direct investment. They also are the highest tax generating sectors in India. The pandemic has negatively impacted most businesses, but the most badly battered sector is the tourism and hospitality. The pandemic almost took us 10 years back, wiped out most of our savings. And though there is no income in the last 1 year, we still had fixed costs like rent, electricity, staff salaries. And it's really tough to survive today. The pandemic was an unprecedented crisis in our lives. With the arrival of the vaccine, recovery would be years away for the tourism sector. The industry will also take a very long time to recover. We now look forward to surviving, then reviving, and then thriving. To gain momentum, we need hand-holding by the government, and we look forward to certain direct stimulus as tax holiday, reduction to a 1% on the TCS, or total removal of the TCS, because it has impacted us very badly. If it is abolished, we can compete in the international markets where today we are unable to compete because our rates are much higher than the international standards. Currently, with the 5% TCS and the 18% GST, we are losing huge business to the foreign overseas agents. And we can see business being pulled out under our nose. Going further, we would only request the government if they can give us some kind of tax rebates. Also, to push this segment further, we look at corporates who today are sitting very comfortable as they are happy to do business on Zoom. But going forward, that is not what tourism would like. We need them to ensure that people travel. Today, they are very afraid to take flights and move on because of the prevailing conditions. The government invested heavily in infrastructure. They built airports of international standards, ports, highways, roads, which now need to be utilized. Corporates are the ones who actually incentivize the executives to bring in more sales with the promise of a fully paid holiday, sometimes with family, or the complete department is taken for overseas or conference conducting sales meeting overseas with the idea of rewarding them in an experiential way and also building bonds with the team as well. Till the government does not incentivize the corporates with some tax benefits or rebates and encourages them to travel, they will not. We here look forward that the government puts in a word and does help in this manner. Today, corporates are looking at cost reduction since they have found the Zoom an alternative tool to meet online and cut costs. But this is not what the travel industry wants. We need more people to travel, and therefore we look at government to help us with these initiatives. Indian brick and mortar agents are very much in demand due to their knowledge, hard work, flexibility in servicing round the clock, and the quality of services they render. They toil round the clock, making themselves available at all odd hours because of the relationship they share with the corporates. Which industry other than the travel industry caters to the demand except for the medical world? We humbly request the government to look at the stimulus for removing the TCS or reducing it to a 1%, reducing the GST, which in the travel industry varies from 5 to 18% over different products. In case of the jewelers, the GST was reduced to 5%, which is a luxury item. Travel today is a necessity. Hospitalization, sickness, breakdown of services, engineering, IT, medical aid, patients removed for emergency. Why then is this sector so neglected? I can humbly request the government to look into some kind of tax rebate holidays to the travel agents. They are the ones who have really suffered during the pandemic. And I look forward to your support, madam.
You're mute. Pradeep, you're mute. No, you're mute. Pradeep, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Seema, for your elaborate information, what you have given on how things are and how things would be in the coming future. Yes, you have given your input saying that this has been unprecedented, and and of course we also basically travel industry employs a lot of staff, and the GDP also is nearly 10%. And I'm sure the government will not look at it in a different way, but I think they are looking at the travel to open. And with all these all these inputs, what they have put in new airports and other infrastructure, I'm sure they would look at it objectively. There are one, two questions we want to ask you about your impressions on the same. One is that the business of small and big agents in the corporate world, can it coexist? Because, in the corporate, we also have multinationals who are also basically in the business, and they've got deep pockets. And as I said in the beginning, your ingrown Indian company, which is not looking, which is only looking at your, you're funding the business from your own, and it's very creditable at this situation that you're actually funding it or hoping for it to revive. So my question is that in this corporate business, what is your opinion? Can big and small agents survive in post-COVID?
Thank you, Pradeep, for your question. Let me tell you, there's enough business in the market if we don't kill each other with it. There is so much business. The multinationals only deal with global players. So there is enough domestic and international business with the Indian corporates. Only thing is, if we are strict enough to tell them that we want payments on certain dates, I'm sure they'll adhere to it. Also, each of the agents is specialized in certain fields, and they can use those fields. It goes hand in hand. The international players look for global players in the market, such as the big TMCs. But there's a lot of business domestically and internationally for the small players who create a niche for themselves. The smaller players are in fact better because they create availability around the clock, and they are available to the corporates at any time, and they really go out of the way to service them. And corporates do appreciate that, and that's to the smaller groups more than what they would look at multinationals.
The other question now is that what is the value of new business a new agent can bring to the table? If a person now, for instance, is switching from retail to, say, corporate, what could he bring to the table in terms of business?
If it's a retail agent, I'm sure he already has his business, but we'll have to fight to get the corporate business, because corporate is again a niche market. and a very niche business where most corporates have their certain criteria which needs to be looked into. And if the new agents are willing to abide by that, I don't see why there is not enough business for them. We can't hear you.
No, Pradeep, you're again mute. New iPad.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. The other one, now the other question is, of course, now with the pandemic, most corporate boards have become conservative in spending and their budgeting, especially in groups. As you very rightly said, that the Zoom is the new way of working, and even in future, as cutting costs, they would not do it. So how would the boards react, in your opinion, in this kind of a situation? Would they again put their hands in the pocket and let groups move? And would they also spend pre-COVID as they were in the individual? So how would the company boards react to this?
Currently, the trend is quite different because the people in the company who are used to traveling weekly are now desperate to travel with or without the vaccine. And they are now pressurizing for everything that they want to travel to see what is the new product in the market or to sell their product. So we know that sitting at home, they've just been desperate to travel. Corporates are rethinking, but they are a bit conservative. They are looking at pushing this to the next year. So this year is really going to be much lower than even pre-COVID. Really, really low. But I'm sure it will come around. The reason being that now people are desperate to travel. The travel bug has bitten them and they don't want to stay anymore at home. And they are pushing the corporates, giving some pretext or the other that they are needed at so and so place to travel. And once the borders open up, especially in Europe, I think business should pick up at least a little for this year, by the last quarter of this year. And let's hope that in the near future, corporates too start allowing their people to travel so that it's very soon that industry picks up.
Thank you, Seema. Giving a very positive note to this. As they say in Hindi, aapke muh mein ghee shakkar, that you should have sugar and honey in your way of looking at things. But I also do agree that as the force of the virus, as with the vaccinations, will open out the borders, and we look forward to a very healthy corporate business. And with this, thank you, Seema, for being with us. But please remain with us because till we have all our other panelists also finish. Thank you, Seema.
Thank you.
Now we have from the Tourism Ministry, Director General of Tourism, Ministry of Tourism, Mrs. Meenakshi Sharma. And as you know that in this pandemic, the government has done a great job in basically using all the digital platforms to promote India as a substitution. And also basically, as we see now that at least 85% of our domestic flights are taking off and the sectors have opened. And they've also introduced a very vital program called Dekho Apna Desh. And every week, all our associations are basically circulating that to our members to see. And with this, I welcome DG Meenakshi Sharma to give her views on going forward in this domestic tourism with the Ministry of Tourism. Meenakshi ji, please welcome, and we would like to hear your opinions.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. I must thank Faith and all the participants here who are here on panel with me. So ITM being held virtual also shows that where we stand today. However, the enthusiasm shows that the future is going to be bright. We welcome all the participants who are watching this program, all the international buyers, the viewers, the domestic sellers, and everyone. There is no doubt that this year has been very challenging and most challenging for travel and hospitality, as Seema brought out it very clearly. It is also true that it is not going to be a recovery in a swift way. It is recovering, and I will come to that in a particular way. However, coming back to the earlier times and in the same way it used to be earlier is not going to be very, very easy. So when we say that the will we go pre-COVID, the way of doing the business, the way the business will prosper is going to be very different in post-COVID. And I'm seeing it from the other side of the table. When we discuss it with the other tourism boards or when we are discussing with our other ministries of Government of India, we realize there are a lot of challenges. But however, there are a lot of bright spots too. One of the things which has just been mentioned is that the travel happened the way it was happening earlier, whether the numbers would be as big. So I think the different segments of travel are behaving presently in a very different fashion, and so will be the same case. We have started traveling, and last 2 months, I'm seeing domestic tourism has expanded beyond our imagination. As somebody used the word so much earlier before at the COVID times about the revenge tourism. I don't like the word personally because no adjective to tourism should be negative. And revenge is a negative word, even if it brings us the positive results, right? This over enthusiasm of the domestic tourism with its some side effects too. So almost 2.8 million people who traveled abroad in 2019, half of them must be out on the road. The numbers which I saw was quite scary. But this is not going to be a long-term solution because there is a limit to that. The one of the side effects has been that people and as like just want to get out and start traveling through road, through whatever. But as we all know, this is not going to be a trend forever. At the same time, I also believe that the business travel would start. They will be a little scared, they will be a little hesitant when people start looking. But you know what? Competition is everything. I'm sure for getting the business, all business houses will start traveling. However, they will be, I think travel industry has to come out with some interesting formulas to make the business travel more important. Most of the city hotels today are suffering because they are not getting the day travelers. Like people coming to Delhi from Mumbai morning and leaving by the evening flight. That may not happen for some more time because of the scare of the flight or rushing in the unsafe environment. So the luxury will come very, very fast. People are already, kind of making us so many requests that why the numbers are still restricted when the India is performing well. But I think Ministry of Health and Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Tourism are little kind of, we are just stepping in a slow fashion, but we don't see much of a problem about it. Similarly, for the international travel, we are very, very hopeful that it should not be too long. More than how India has handled the COVID is also, there is another issue is of our source countries. If you open a tourist visa, how it works? Does it work reciprocally? All of you are very much aware that the Europe is not doing too well. USA is not doing too well yet. And there are then where we get the numbers from. So I think we are a little cautious about opening up the international tourism. Still, the number of people coming are are not very insignificant, but they are coming mainly on the business visa or they are coming on other than tourist thing. But hoping the COVID situation is under control and the vaccination numbers start picking up, it will be good. One of the other bright spots which we are seeing is that the the Indian vaccination start happening, India would be seen as even a safer destination, because certain population of India gets vaccinated, which gives a comfort factor to the tourists who come in contact with the people here. We have also received a request from the travel organization about putting the travel workers in part of the as part of the favored for like the health line workers. We are considering it, and I think whether that would be needed or not needed, not we are not very sure, because the vaccination is not going to be an issue in. So coming back to the issue which has been raised by Seema about how to make travel more inviting, what can we do to make it survive better? As Minister of Tourism, we completely understand your pain. We also understand that this is something which needs to be done, whether it's about the TCS reduction or I'm not very sure of the GST, but TCS, of course, I take your point very much, and even a stimulus. So we are in touch with Ministry of Finance. So let's see what comes out of it. But I can assure you that as Ministry of Tourism, as the line ministry, we are very much with you on that. Coming back to the another issue which got discussed about the services which are provided by the travel agents and the tourism service provider or tour operators. Even with such a connected product which has become a large number of OTAs, I completely of the view that we still need specialized services. And in some ways, these specialized services which all of you provide are going to be even more important in the times to come. Because people are going to look for an assurance. It is about assurance about whether the health and hygiene standards are being followed, whether the services which are being promised would be given. So which you may get in some multinational OTAs or the local OTAs, but it's not a question what is the medium of delivery. It is a question of what kind of services you provide and what kind of assurance. Digital things are only a medium. I'm sure all of you are doing that. So I think it all depends on where your message is going and what kind of services are being assured at. So I think it's a challenging time for travel industry, no doubt about it. Do we remember the time of around turn of millennium in 2000? Everybody thought that the IT industry when came up, that all the industries will go on. So IT industry made people to buckle up and do new things. And India did very well with that challenge. There was fear. I mean, of course, in 98, 99, that what are we going to do? The jobs are going to get lost and all. It didn't happen that way. How we handled that? I mean, I was trying to do one paper to look at the numbers on certain industry at that time and how it happened after 5 years. It took India 5 years to come up with a new strategy. And we did pretty well. We did much better than we were doing earlier. So I'm sure the travel industry is already, doing very interesting things. I find some new concepts coming up very fast because I get to see a lot of small initiatives which take birth every month. So I'm sure we will have new models. Of course, there will be some loss on the way, which is very much there. So I think, and as far as the Ministry of Tourism is concerned, we have tried to keep everybody connected, and I must thank the industry for the kind of cooperation and kind of tolerance, the kind of friendship which we saw during the last year, almost 5 years. I didn't see 4 years before that. So I think the challenge brought us together. Challenge also said that these are the situations which nobody has an easy solution. And also, even at the cost of seeing the loss and loss of livelihood, we saw the kind of support and friendship. Dekho Apna Desh was started just like that because we did not know what to do. So we said, okay, we'll do few seminars. Believe me, industry has been so supportive, and they have come out. We have a huge, waiting list coming up, and India has been not discovered. people write to us, they do not know that such things exist and they have been enjoying it. So that's a silver lining with all that dark clouds which we have gone through. So that's all I'd like to say, and I would like to take any question which you want to come up together. So thank you very much for inviting me here.
Meenakshi ji, very enlightening talk on, and also I would say that yes, with this pandemic, I think we have all got together working towards a better future in increasing tourism in our country with the government, and also it was we also appreciate the proactiveness, especially you, ma'am. I mean, you have been very proactive, and you have given us a lot of inspiration. And I think we are also looking at getting domestic to grow further, because as the pandemic, as we all know, is yes under control, but some people are saying that it can also go W, and you know there could be a new strains coming. So India, at least people are traveling, so it's very encouraging. A few questions, of course, as you've answered what Seema has asked about some sort of hand-holding, which could be given in terms of reduction in TCS, and because TCS is nothing but a tax paid in advance, and you know, and of course, I do understand the objective of the government is to get people on the tax net, but if it could be reduced so that the objective is also served and people don't feel that they are paying from their pocket and getting it later. So that is one aspect which I think as an industry we are all looking forward to. The other thing is that now, you know, with the pandemic, the internet has grown, and now people have also become even the customers are also more savvy on internet, and digital has grown, and especially for the mid and the small agents, they also have to get digital to sell India to others. So would the government also look at some sort of a subsidy or something for people to switch over to this for the purpose of promoting tourism? Because you know everyone doesn't have the means to pay for this. I mean, to get into this platform. Of course, there would be. Of course, we have other speakers who would talk of franchisee models and all. But for an agent to himself grow further and sell, I mean, would the government look at something to provide this assistance?
So TCS I've already talked about, and I, you know, other than TaxNet, I also feel that maybe government can consider it, and we have recommended things. However, for your other suggestion of providing some kind of hand-holding, I would say that I think the association should take it up, because, you know, individual travel agents getting subsidy or something is not workable. Here, whatever the government support has to come with some kind of an assurance. So one of the major problems that if there are some bad on the table, they always bring the, you know, make the system worse. So I think I would encourage, you know, one of the association to take it up and come out with a model, and I'm sure Ministry of Tourism would be very happy to look at the proposal. Them to be technologically empowered. So that is very much possible, but if a firm proposal, some kind of workable proposal comes to us.
Thank you. As associations, even our association, we are actually encouraging our members to be to register themselves with the Ministry of Tourism, because the figures are very small, and we also wanted to grow so that they would be recognized. And yes, of course, I think it's a very good idea what you're given, that the association should collectively put forward the needs for this, and to the
I would also like to make just a thing that ultimately in a marketplace, only the efficient and effective players are successful. I think that has to be seen. Ultimately, what sells is only a good service and right kind of. I think so that, like for example, we are coming up with an e-marketplace for our tourist guides. So I'm sure it is possible to put an e-marketplace for travel fraternity also. First thing, it should be required. We can't say that, we can't put, there is no compulsion to it, because somebody might be doing it with a better model, less costly. So it's a competitive market. So let's think through it. And I'm sure ministry would be positively inclined to such a proposal.
I think very encouraging, and not only with e-guides, but even when we have these private taxis and all, and as they have in Singapore, there's a training for the drivers, so that could also help, because what we see is that sometimes when we have to book, the quality only varies because the training is not there. So if that could also be part of it, because see, today people are now become very conscious about health, safety, and hygiene, and even the behavior patterns. So that, of course, I completely agree, and I think we should work on that collectively for it to this thing. There is one question, of course, it is, since you're speaking of domestic, but since you're from the Ministry of Tourism, I thought I could maybe address this, and so that it could be also looked into. See, for outbound tours, of course, there is a 5% tax, a GST. And now that is becoming, we become little uncompetitive because, everything is on a global platform. And, what we are seeing now is that people, unfortunately, their money is also not coming to any of our travel agents. It is people are just going offshore and booking to save this 5%. So the purpose which is there is actually not being done. So, I would just like to, of course, we would, as associations, also speak to you later, or maybe you could address the issue to the government, because, when you're not competitive in the globe, because everything is global. So there's a loss of business, not only to us, but also to our government. So that, of course, we would like to say. And thank you, Meenakshi ji. If there is anything, of course, the spectators would send their emails, which we would then try to collectively then address it from with you. But thank you very much. And thank you. Thank you. Please stay on till we finish. Yes, thank you. Now we have basically Mr. Madhav Oza, who is the director in the company Blue Star Travels, and he basically is also a B2B operator. He runs a very successful platform, and which is business to business, and he would give his concept on how things would be from agent to agent perspective, and what he feels with this pandemic, where many of our agents have actually concised themselves or become smaller, that how he can help in this kind of a situation. Madhav Oza has been a veteran. He's been in this trade for, at least I have known him in this trade for last 25 years, and his brother also, who's with him. And now his second generation people are also supporting him. He's again an ingrown travel company. No funding, is basically his own, from his own sources, and he has grown to a level which we are all proud of as an Indian company. And here I welcome Madhav ji to give your opinion.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Ashish, for inviting me on this lovely forum to address some of our issues, which we can, in minimum time, we can give. To be very brief, when we started in 1985, it was all manual business. And from there, we have progressed in 2000 to a portal, and then 2011-12 to an online portal. I found that this online portal in this time of COVID was very, very successful. Since there is no need of person meeting a person. Nobody had to meet each other. As we all are aware, our Prime Minister is chasing the dream of Atmanirbhar. Online portal is one of the best way to prepare people to be Atmanirbhar. Our agency offers a 2-minute agency solution. If somebody wants to become a travel agent, we have a tutorial on the YouTube how you can become a travel agent in 2 minutes. So this has been being we have been doing, and today we have got more than 40,000 agents registered with us across the country, right from Jammu Kashmir till Kerala and from Assam onwards. And believe me, agents in the small towns, very small towns, 3-tier, 4-tier cities, are making bookings for 5-star deluxe properties. That is what I can tell you. So these are agents, small agents who need a small way hand holding. So I don't say that this is only a purely technology based product. We are giving a 24/7 services also, and we keep a guy in almost every popular district or city who goes and meets these agents, who does the hand holding, and then we do the training schedule for them how to run their business. So this is one formula which can definitely help make people self-employed. As per my estimates today, across India, there are more than 5 lakh such agents who are working on their own. And they use our tools because our tool is capable of handling air bookings, hotel bookings, cruise bookings. It is capable of giving you insurance on online insurance, and it is capable of doing IRCTC railway bookings also. So I will tell you pre-COVID and post-COVID what is the scenario. Pre-COVID, of course, we were doing very well. Post-COVID also, living the first months, we started improving. I'm so glad that Indian industry, Indian population has accepted this thing and started traveling. And I can with conviction tell you that domestic tourism has been a savior for us for the last 7 to 8 months. And I can tell you last 3 to 4 months, we have started breaking even. Now we are no more in losses. We are breaking even because of domestic tourism. Earlier, our agency was majorly depending on international, and domestic was small. But this COVID has given us an opportunity to promote more and more of tourism. In fact, right now also I'm out seeing the products. I am right now in Khajuraho. It's a beautiful place, but not many Indians know about it, nor they visit here. What is important for Indians to travel, according to me, if we make Atmanirbhar agents like this, 35,000, I have got registered in my hotel. They can do the hand holding with the common man in the country, and they can guide that yes, you can travel to Khajuraho. This is the taxi service I can provide you. This is the best hotel I can provide you. This is the sound and light show in the evening where I can make your pre-bookings, because Indians are not regular travelers as yet, that we all know. So they need some hand holding and they need some guidance on the technology also. And fortunately, in COVID time, people have moved to technology with high speed. What I am looking forward right now, when the international market really opens, that doesn't depend on us at all, except the bubbles which we have created. So like Maldives or this places. Maldives is, in fact, the bubble is created. It is a very good thing because we have sent people from Maldives to Australia also. People are buying tickets from us from Bombay to Maldives, Maldives to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka to Australia. So the bubbles, when more and more, I believe the government is negotiating another 15 bubbles. So in the meanwhile, we were concentrating on the domestic tourism and we found it a very, very successful thing. In fact, I would like to suggest Meenakshi ji what Seema suggested about taxation or reduction in tax. I am talking something else here, Meenakshi ji, that what government should do. Like government provides tax benefit to people who invest under the Section 80C. If you make investment in insurance, you make an investment in your provident fund account, benefited in your income tax deduction. So what I am suggesting to government is that you should take this positively. This was the right time. No problem. You can still come with it. Give suggestion. Give 80C benefit to whoever travels to the domestic destinations in India. He has to show the bill and take the tax benefit claim. Maybe you start with a 50,000 or a 1 lakh rupee additional over the 1,50,000 which is existing right now. I'm sure this will benefit the government in a big way because there are so many taxi services which are not going unbilled yet. So there's no GST government is collecting. If I am as a traveler wanting the benefit tax concession, then I will ask for the bill. And once I ask for the bill, then government is going to benefit with the GST collections also. What I would suggest government is that we should start at least 1 lakh rupees tax-free holiday. I mean to say, it should get deduction in the income earned during a year if I have traveled for 1 lakh rupees. And maybe suppose the government finds that the Khajuraho region, the central India, the northeast region is not getting too much of tourists. So you can make that additional 50,000. That if people are going to the northeast of India, or people are going to Chitrakoot or Khajuraho or Allahabad, Prayagraj or Varanasi, then they will get another 50,000 benefit. So this will really create more and more tourism into for the Indian industry. And this will benefit us a lot. Because I'm sure another 3 to 6 months, at least 6 months, I don't see the international market going up. Because yet there are foreign countries which are yet discussing, and on an average every week some more countries announcing further closure only. So what I can see is that this is the right opportunity. Indians are starving to travel. In fact, I can tell you today we have a middle class to the tune of 40 crore. You can say 400 million people who are ready to travel always, regularly. If somebody does a hand-holding properly, that is what our agencies is promoting, that our agent in a small city will handhold the client and take him to the, suggest him the tourist circuit with our guidance, and that is where he can benefit the most. This is what I wanted to say more about tourism, how we can develop in India with tax benefit. And this, because once the international markets have opened, I'm sure the regular travelers would love to travel to the international destination. This is the right opportunity. We can make them addicted to Indian traveling also, because India has a lot to offer. Only thing is how we can take this horse to the water. Right now the horse is available. Somehow we push it to the right destination and we have made it. I'm very sure about it. This is what I want to submit. And regarding taxation, what Seema has already covered, I'm glad. And madam, what you said is also absolutely right about taxation. We look forward to your support. Ashish and I have been regularly working on taxation matters. I know, I can tell you, madam, there are some taxes which Government of India is charging are absolutely no coffers of Indian government are getting nothing. We agents are working. I am collecting, I am paying it to government. The airline is again taking the benefit, it's zero. I don't know why such kind of taxes should be there. There's no reason for it. Means if the travel agent is collecting in a year 500 crore and paying it to the government, the airline is again taking the ITC of it. So it's a zero effect. Unnecessary such kind of taxes shouldn't be introduced, which has no benefit whatsoever to the government. Yeah, Pradeep.
Thank you, Madhav. Especially your idea of ATC being introduced also for travel exemptions would be it's a very great idea, which I think the government could look into it. It could only help in bringing this increasing the impetus. The other thing, Madhav, was that I believe maybe you will be able to give a much outlook to it, that the rail agents' licenses about 2-3 months have been suspended. And I mean, rail is now today one of the most important ways of even going inroads, and the government is spending a lot of money in railways. So could you just give a little highlight why the rail licenses were suspended?
It was proposed by the railway minister in the last week of the pre-COVID session, that to suspend the licenses because they found not more than 0.5% agents who were abusing it. So that was the reason, and that was abuse of the technology. You are aware that there are hackers who can hack the Tatkal booking facilities, and that's the reason the railway minister wanted to suspend all agents, which was really not very kind on his behalf, because after appointing more than 3 lakh agents, and each agent a small agent, having invested more than 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees in the business, and at least he has an employment is generator of at least 2 people, so at least 3 families depending on each agent, and suddenly we want to shut it down because some less than 0.5% of agents are abusing on the technology platform. But fortunately, the whole thing was given up by June when they again called off the decision of the government. I hope it doesn't come back. That is what I can expect. Because see, abuse has happened, I don't say no. But then IRCTC has to tighten their technology that abuse doesn't happen. Rather than just straight away shutting down 3 lakh agencies across the country in such pandemic times when there is unemployment to such a large extent. And also one more important point, agents like us who appoint these agents, we have invested more than 2 crore rupees into the work. And suddenly the government wants to cut us is not a good, fair idea. This doesn't give stability to the whole aspect of travel agency industry. So this shouldn't be done. That is what I can say.
No, so then there could be compliance. There could be certain preferred agents who would have to comply, and if there is a violation, there should be a penalty. That's what
exactly. There is a penalty. There is a penalty of 25,000 per agent.
Yeah.
Whoever
so
violates.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, we are against a violation, but this thing which had actually created, and even in our associations, a lot of members wrote to us, and so that I think should be looked into in a different perspective. The other thing is, Madhav, since you're more B2B, and now we see that a lot of platforms are coming B2C, and and somehow that sometimes B2C is cheaper than a B2B. Is because people are especially the international platforms are putting in money, which they call promotional cost or whatever, and to gain valuation. So is there any effect on this on a B2B business with this B2C selling it cheaper, or what would be your opinion on this?
Fairly speaking, Pradeep, it's a very good question. This is in fact affecting the industry very badly, I can tell you. Since we are dealing across the country, I can tell you across the country, the people who are very tech savvy are going on this kind of platforms, which are managed and owned by multinational companies. Many today are owned by Chinese investors who just want to take the Indian market. And Indian government, I believe, and I would suggest Indian government should protect our agents industry, because these people go out of their pocket, they throw money, and the money thrown is not 1 or 2%. It ranges between 10 to 20%, because they want to somehow kill the small industry in India. And once they are calling the shots, they will make the money. That's the whole idea. And that's why I would suggest that government should act on this very quickly and see who are the agents who are promoting the product at a cheaper price. Because you can really know, airline will tell you if it is a product of any low-cost carrier or a national carrier, the airline will tell, we are not selling at this price. Why is this agent selling? So they will say, marketing budget, but somehow that promotional marketing budget is killing the travel industry in India, which is not right. And at times when they fail to give good services also, agent is not able to, client is not able to catch them because they are too big and their legal teams are also too big. Otherwise, the agents like us, we are here with a technology with a face we have. We are available. We announce on our portals that this is our technology and this is our office. Come and meet us. On the other hand, this technology portals which are coming from abroad, they are many times not registered in India also. They are registered abroad and they play the game. So we need to be very careful on this. This is where only government can act quickly and control them, or their entry should be prohibited, definitely.
Okay. So that parity should be maintained, and so everyone exists. Sometimes this disparity is also with airlines. Somehow the promotions are done cheaper. So there should be some regulator, which earlier we used to have, The DGCA used to regulate
Exactly.
fares, if you remember, but now it is so that
Yes.
deregulation is actually creating disparity and which is actually affecting the market. That is what you're trying to say.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, Madhav, I think you've given us a full perspective on how you're running your business, and congratulations to you
Thank
to
you.
have to have grown into an Atmanirbhar platform with your own means, and wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we have with us, we thought we should also have people who are actually doing segment business, like weddings and all that. But since we did not have much time, we have a stalwart. His name is Natarajan Ramji. He is the MD of a company called Ribada Films and also Travel Masters. And he specializes in basically location shootings and film tourism for his film clients, which are Tollywood, which is basically from South India, or Bollywood, which is from our Indian film industry. So, Mr. Ramji, I invite you to give your views on how this segment of tourism is running, and then, of course, I will ask further questions on that. Yes.
Thank you, Pradeep Lulla, for having me, and hello to everybody in the panel. Yes, I've been in what I call my business is film tourism, and what I do is when a film is shot in a particular location. When a film is shot in a particular location, it creates a kind of urge amongst the tourists to visit that place. So this has been proved not once, but many a times. Since the last 33 years, I've been in this segment, and having filmed over 1,000 films in 75 countries, I am quite well aware of how this thing works. In fact, the film which I did with Shah Rukh Khan, where we filmed in Iceland, the song Gerwa, by itself had 320 million YouTube hits. And the tourism to Iceland jumped 1,000% from India in 1 year. So, in fact, my friends from Iceland used to call me and say, I'm seeing only Indians everywhere, walking in the streets. So this happens. It happened to New Zealand, it happened to Spain, it happened to Switzerland, right from Yash Chopra's time. And so it has been proved that film can be the biggest influencer for tourism. Even I see many corporate, many MICE companies which are doing MICE asking me, give me some new places to go. We have to pitch it to our clients. We want them to have that bling effect and things like that. Of course, COVID has completely decimated the film industry as well as the tourism industry, because for the last 1 year, theaters have been shut, film shootings have been shut. So, I mean, literally, and we have many films in amongst our clients who are, half, quarter, 3/4 done movies yet to complete, and then, release it to theater. They are not very sure how this is going to be released, because now only now they have opened up theaters in Maharashtra with 50% capacity, in some other cities with 100% capacity and things like that. So at the same time, there is a emergence of a new ray of hope in lines of Netflix and Amazon and Foxstar and all these OTT platforms. And now we are even noticing that normally in anybody's normal common man's life, you probably see a movie in 10 or 15 days. Now people are watching 3 to 4 movies every day, sitting at home. So how I have changed myself in this COVID times. Of course, this whole thing turned our business upside down. But what I can see that if you are creative, if you are innovative, there are there are people who want to be, given the solutions. And in fact, there are more than 30 films on the pipeline where we have to handle. And all my clients are asking me, Ramji, come on, we want to make this movie. And you tell me where I will get the best tax rebate, where will I get incentives. And now you can see all over the world, countries are offering incentives to come and film there in their country. So for example, if we go and spend X amount of money, they're looking at giving us back 25%, 30%, in some cases 40% also. And in some extreme cases, even 60%. So they know that if the movie is filmed there, it gives them a great amount of publicity without them spending one single paisa. So now everybody is hungry for business. It can be the film client, it can be the destination, and it can be everybody, and everybody is looking for this. And we are trying to be as innovative, as creative in this current circumstances to create that value addition to our clients, and thereby giving a cutting edge. See, for any producer, director, and stars, money saved is money earned today. If that can be achieved in short. So my submission to DG Tourism is that if the Indian states can, come up with something dynamic enough and compete with, and saying, okay, you come to my state and do this, spend this much of money, we will give this back to you as rebate, as incentive. You can do this to the international filmmakers, from Hollywood, from UK, England, Germany, whatever, and to our own filmmakers also. If we can do that, that will be of great help in the current scenario, because the market is going to start competing globally now. And with this situation, everybody, if they can, come in, and all the states in India, and not only that, other resources also, for example, Army, Air Force, if they can say, okay, you can come and film in our facility, and we will help you. You will find a lot of scripts, a lot of filmmakers who are struggling to get even permissions to do this. For example, to film in a railway, in a cabin or a railway station, it's a big, big challenge in India. To film in an airport, it's a big, big challenge. So what happens is, many times we replicate India in other countries, because it is impossible to get permission here. So if this can be addressed by DG Tourism, that will be very helpful. And this also will encourage, in India, we make 3,000 movies. We are the second largest in the world. And, there is so much that can be done. And believe me that every film, even before it's released, it starts promoting the destination. So after its release, for the next 1 or 2 years, it still keeps promoting the destination. Here we don't even, nobody needs to spend even a single dime. But the benefits are immense because of YouTube, because of OTT platforms and theaters. And other than that, we have most of the press is looking for information on filmmakers, on film stars. They are constantly calling us, please give us some information, please give us some, pictures, we'll put it in. So this is the kind of attraction movie has. I wish everybody can, put the focus into it and promote it. So this would be my request, is all the states in India do something, come up with a plan so that, this can be attracted further. Thank you very much. Pradeep, you're on mute.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Ramji. Very good insight on what the government can do to increase their revenue and also help Indians to actually shoot movies here. And if every state could do that, because I believe that even the audience in India, identify with the places. Like I believe that Hrithik Roshan's movie, which was financed by, was paid by Singapore Tourism.
Krish.
Which he basically, and after that, the tourism in Singapore actually increased. And even in Switzerland, where movies have been shot, all these, these romantic movies of Yash Chopra and all that. And after that, I think when people get married, they all look for going for honeymoon to Switzerland. If it was in India, they could have done the same thing here. Maybe in Khajuraho, where I think the Madhurji is celebrating his second honeymoon here.
In fact, Pradeep, I would like to take this opportunity and address DG Tourism. I wear another hat, which I am the secretary of the Music Academy Madras, which is a 93-year-old institution. I've been the secretary for this the last 25 years. And we have the biggest music festival in the world, bigger than Edinburgh Festival, and not funded by any government authority. All we are requesting is if Incredible India and can carry this information to all the things, fairs like Berlin or the London WTM, and that India has the biggest music festival in the world, not Edinburgh. 3,000 over concerts are conducted between December and January in Chennai. Music and dance, classical genre. So this would be also a good. Many people in the world don't even have a clue about this. So this way also, this can be promoted, and especially in December and January when the city has no business traffic, this can be promoted. That will be very helpful.
I think very good inputs, and but now I think I think earlier the movies were not being made because of certain regulations and also defense regulations. As like sometimes when you have to fly a helicopter or a thing for a shooting scene, it was not available. But now, in the market we have companies like Blade and all, which are actually chartering helicopters. So we as travel agents also, of course, it takes hour or two to get the clearance from DGCA, but you can go to Shirdi, you can go to Alibag, all these places. So similarly, I think movies, I think it's only that how incentive to be given to motivate. Very good insight. And of course, the other thing which, since our whole purpose is to also encourage other people to enter in this. So how would you suggest a person, a travel agent who wants to get into, say, in your segment, in whatever way, how would you, what advice would you give? Because see, you've been in this business for many years, so you know how it is. So how would you advise?
See, when you get into any segment, you have to have the command of the subject, basically. If not, the client, if you go and talk to a client about a product which you don't even have a clue about, he's going to laugh you off in any other segment. So there should be a basic amount of, vocation, training which you need to, when you go, if I'm going to go and talk to a big producer and he's going to ask me questions and I'm going to fumble, he's going to say, okay, you don't, nothing, and he'll find somebody else to do it for you. So basically, not only in this segment, in every segment of travel and tourism, you need to specialize and you need to upgrade your skills. For example, Madhav is always upgrading his skills on technology. I'm sure Seema will be doing the same thing in her corporate business, changing with times. What I did in 1990 and 2000 and 2010 is irrelevant. What I'm doing in 2021 has to be a game changer. So what I'm trying to put to all our friends in the tourism business is, don't be a general player. Be a specialist in something or the other.
Okay.
So,
That's
I
it.
mean, so you need to know more than your client. When you talk to him, he should listen to you with respect and aura. When you talk about a product, when I talk about filmmaking, I am confident I can speak my mind and they will still listen to me and especially in the movie business where egos are the biggest, Everybody thinks they know everything. Even the person who knows nothing thinks he knows everything there. So you need to have that. First, you need to have that self-realization and command. That's what I'm telling. Not only this business, every other segment also. If you're confident, if you're creative, I'm sure the clients will come looking for you instead of you looking for the clients.
Thank you, Ramji, for your insight and for your opinions. Thank you for being with us. And now we have, last but not the least, a very important speaker in the new vocation which has come up of stay vacation. We have Mr. Devendra Parulekar, who is the founder of a company called Saffron Stays. And in this pandemic, as we have seen, that stay vacations have actually grown many folds. And with this, I would want Mr. Devendra Parulekar to give his opinion on the business, what he's running. And before this, he's also been with Ernst & Young, and his views would be very valued about it. So, Mr. Parulekar, welcome, and we are awaiting your views.
Thank you very much for this lovely opportunity to talk to all of you. It's an honor coming up. So I represent a new age startup and a new age way of holidaying and vacationing in the world, which is alternative accommodation. We run close to 200 villas, luxury villas. These are ultra luxury homes that we run across the country. These are not traditional hotels, but these are homes, these are villas, estates that belong to the rich and famous of Mumbai and Pune and some of the other large cities. So these would be, the estates or the pads, luxury pads across the harbor in Alibag or Lonavala, or Nasik or vineyards, or these are private estates which have pads. These have private pools, large lawns, spas, and so on and so forth. So, honestly, I couldn't, I should not be saying this, and in some ways, there's a little bit of guilt in also saying this, but we were the biggest beneficiaries of the pandemic because a couple of things happened. One, the international tourism just plummeted and went down to zero. So all the ultra-rich Indians, particularly Mumbaikars and Punekars, who suddenly were deprived of their holidays in Europe, they were forced to look at a player like Saffron Stays, which offered comparable private estates, which looked like 7-star homes, which offered the same luxury quotient of a 7-star home, but with the privacy and the safety of a private home, with nobody around in the swimming pool and nobody around in the buffet table. Just you, just your family, your loved ones, and in a very safe and sanitized environment. So all the international travel actually got diverted to private homes of ours. In fact, what has happened is, I have almost 200 homes, and we've been running with occupancies of almost 80-90% in the last 4 or 5 months. And I've honestly never seen this kind of traffic in homes. And all the audience that has come to us has actually never ever stayed before in a private home or a private villa. So we are very happy to see that all these guys are actually forming a habit, because they suddenly realize that here's an alternative. They've been looking at 5 stars, they've been looking at 7 stars, they've been looking at international holidays, they're looking at Lake Geneva, but they never realized that a Lake Geneva existed just probably 90 minutes away from Mumbai in Lake Pavna, or a Lake Mulchi, or a lake very close to their house, or the beaches of Alibag. For example, 28th of February, we are running a campaign called Alibag Beach Cleanup, and we are galvanizing all the homeowners, all the Alibag residents to actually clean up our beaches, because we know that the South Mumbai crowd, who are the gentry, who have their speedboards or now the access to infrastructure through roll-on, roll-off, which has been created in Mumbai, has been a complete game changer for Alibag in Maharashtra. What we've seen fundamentally as a change is Indians are now looking at their own backyard and realizing that here's a wonderful countryside, which probably compares in weather, in terms of food, in terms of the locale, to probably the best locations in the world. They were hungry for these private luxury homes, and we fortunately, and we're blessed to have there are 200 such ultra luxury homes in our portfolio. And we were able to unlock these homes for these guests. So honestly, for me as a company, from a little bit rank outside the hospitality business, suddenly we became the talk of the town, the flavor of the season, so to say. Now, is this a secular trend? I firmly believe so. The reason I'm so confident about it is because these are habits that change. For example, suddenly they were introduced to this concept. They were never knowing of this concept. Now they're frequenting not once, but every month they want to keep coming back to an Alibag home or a Lonavala home or a Patna home or a Nasik home. And every time they keep asking for something, what do you have new? So it's a secular trend that I'm noticing. And second, what I notice is whenever you build infrastructure, and I am a firm votary of this, I don't believe in cutting taxes. I don't believe in these any of these short-term thinking that most of us have. I believe in creating infrastructure. So the moment the roll-on, roll-off came in Alibag market just simply exploded, right? And what we need in India is this phenomenal infrastructure. For example, all the highways should have some super clean, hygienic toilets for women, which should make road travel safer and easier for women. Or, for example, sea transport, sea planes. The more we focus on infrastructure, the more we improve connectivity into our hinterlands, the more we expose our hinterlands to the world map of tourism. I think that's the solution than asking and clamoring for an 18% to 10% reduction in GST. Because that's a very, very short-term way of thinking. Let's use that money to actually make our country a little safer, make our country definitely cleaner, plastic-free, and improve the infrastructure leaps and bounds. And just watch what happens to infrastructure, tourism in this country. And I'm a proud participant in this journey, and I can see it happen in Maharashtra, where the roll-on, roll-off literally changed the game here. Because cars can now drive just across the harbor, getting onto a boat. And that small little teeny-weeny infrastructure project has changed the fortunes of a sleepy town like Alibag into the next Goa of Mumbai. Or in fact, it's being now called the Hamptons of Mumbai, because the South Mumbai gentry now suddenly have realized the land values have appreciated dramatically. In Alibag. So that's my limited, point of view. You may have also heard staycations or workations. And this is a very interesting thing that has happened across India. People have realized that you don't need to be in office. You can be in Goa, you can be in the Himalayas, you can be in Alibag, you can be anywhere, and using Zoom, using the digital methods, connect into your workplace. So what stops you from being in the Himalayas and operating on, a big proposal where you're pitching for a large mandate, maybe in New Zealand? Nothing, right? Nothing stops you. So, and what has happened because of that is a lot of my homes are getting booked out for, a month or 2 months. And what's the reason? Because people want to just move out of Mumbai, the small cooped up houses that we have in Mumbai, and stay in a lavish bungalow in McLeodganj. Right? So because you have connectivity, again, that translates into fantastic digital infrastructure that we need to build and work towards, which will create this enabling framework. So to me, tourism is directly proportional to the infrastructure that you create, is directly proportional to the safety that you create, and directly proportional to the cleanliness that you adhere to in your states, and the women's safety, of course, which brings in tourists by the droves, right? And if you do that, I don't think short-term measures like GST reduction or some of these things Of course, it benefits. I mean, I'm not complaining. If the government reduces GST, I'm not going to complain. I'll lap it up happily. But would I clamor for it? I would definitely not. I would say put that money in, creating great, clean power for me. Why do I have to invest in a genset and guzzle diesel where every 2 hours my power is failing? Instead, I should be having 24/7 clean power, and that's something that should be the focus area and not reduction of GST. So I beg to differ and very strongly differ with some of my co-participants here on the call. And I think to me that is true Atmanirbhar, India, and not Nirbhar on diesel. And sorry. I hand over to you. I'm very passionate about these things, and I get carried away a little. Sorry about that.
No. Don't have to be sorry about it. I also do understand, and that's how I think the policy of the government is to spend more money on infrastructure. In fact, in this budget, the maximum amount of money has been allocated for infrastructure, which they say it's going to have a multiplying effect of 4.5 times. So, as you very rightly said about the Ro-Ro ferries, which have actually started, but unfortunately, with so many cars going in Alibag, the roads have not widened. And to get that, so that you may have soon Alibag, which will get as crowded as Mumbai, But what you're saying is absolutely true. But there are now, since this has grown manifold because of the circumstances which were there, that is COVID, and people were wanting not to be in hotels, and the spas were closed, the swimming pools were closed. So they could only be with their families and stay vacations or maybe workstations. And I also have a house in Pavna where I go very often there. And basically,
so it's best, right?
No, I know how pleasant it is now, and when I have a few friends over. But it was what I'm only trying to say is that I mean, I think when the things opened out, the hotels would again open out. This is because of the fear of COVID and the restrictions which are there, and the GST, of course. Now you have a model which is not priced as per market forces. It's priced by demand and supply. So the GST over there is different than a GST in a particular, like a hotel or airline business.
Absolutely.
Or tour business.
Yeah.
So that is, and the most important thing I want to know, and I wish you all the good luck, and I hope you become like Airbnb, which is one of the top companies in the world. But see, the issue is that now we as intermediaries, whether we believe it or not, intermediaries in India play a very vital role. They create demand, they initiate, they sell, they give credit, people feel that even the hotels sometimes feel that they can deal directly with the customer. But then what happens is that if you don't support the intermediary, you may not support your customers because the things are changing. So now in your saffron stays, I just want to know, do you have a B2B model or is it only B2C?
So we are 90% B2C.
So you have okay.
Our own portal, 90% B2C, 5% of our business comes from travel agents, and 5% of our business comes from OTAs. So our brand, and actually the reason is one of the largest methods of sources of bookings for us is actually word of mouth. People come to our homes, they have a fantastic time, and the word of mouth just spreads. People reach out directly to the brand, directly to us, and our website, our UX, we are actually a technology company masquerading as a hospitality company. We started out as a hardcore tech company. In fact, most of our deep technology stack that we've implemented, whether it's the artificial intelligence-based recommendation engine, everything that we do, every small little element in our business is digitized. So we were originally a tech company. And if you know my background, I used to be a hacker. myself. I built cybersecurity practice of Ernst & Young India for almost 16 years. I was there, 8 years as a partner. So all the collective knowledge of years of technology actually has been leveraged to create the enabling platform. So we are a pure tech company into hospitality, full stack hospitality, with a 90% today B2C origin. But I take your point, Pradeep. I think it is time for me as an organization to start focusing on B2B as well, to build a distribution network that goes beyond Saffron States.
Because see, even in Airbnb, which is a large company, but it's yet B2C. So the travel agents don't actually, and now, like for instance, in India, I mean, I would call it a continent. We have states, and we have people all over, and we have now associations who have got members all over. So that can also create and give authenticity. Maybe you could also get your products through agents, and agents could also look after.
Yes,
I mean, I'm just because the whole thing is that we want to create a. I mean, of course, you know your business well, but I'm just saying it's a perspective that is the growth has to be there, and with this.
With your kind, So with your kind permission, may I make a small request to DG Tourism, Meenakshi ma'am?
Sure, of course.
One of the things that my industry really wants is some kind of a single window registration system or some kind of a self-certification system under some licensing mechanism. The licensing norms for my industry are very nebulous. We are a genuine industry. We are leveraging, brick and mortar created by somebody else. So I'm adding to zero carbon footprint. These are assets and homes created by others that I'm actually leveraging. And for example, I run 200 homes. Each home has 4 caretakers, which means 800 people employed by me, plus 90 people on my payroll. So that's close to 900 people. So huge employment generation. But the licensing is almost not around. It's just not there. And I want to play, above board, have some kind of a self-certification mechanism in order to weed out all the, unscrupulous elements that are operating in cash, avoiding GST, and encouraging all kinds of wrong activities in their homes. So humbly, I would like to urge you to consider our proposal to have some kind of a certification or method of registration which will legitimize my business.
Can I just get in?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, yes.
So I wanted to say something to Mr. Ramji also. I'll come to that. So I'm very happy that you mentioned it, because for a long time, this conversation brings us to a point that the travel is changing. Travel is changing in the model which have not been thought, and that is always the responsibility. If you have to grow the business overall, the new models would have to come. They have to deal with the new kind of requirement, create a new product, because ultimately there is a boredom in everything which has been surviving for so long. Even the same company will have to regenerate itself, and I think so. This is the reality. Reality is only when I was saying that we can't wish away the new models. Older models may need to survive. They have to thrive. They have to, remain in business. But it is always the freshness which is needed. So I'm so happy when you talked about this model, and I think a kind of money and investment is locked into the locked houses is a shame. And
yes.
In India, it is shame in USA, but I must tell you that Europe does much better. I think these two countries have not really, used their resources, and we need to. So when you say that you need to have some kind of what do you mean by licensing, but some kind of a framework which provides you the
yes, ma'am.
Recognition. So I must we are talking to IMI, which is that your internet, mobile, and the association which is with the MY team. We have been telling them, come and talk to you. You don't have to be scared of Ministry of Tourism. Let me tell you that. We are the most friendly ministry. Ashish, I hope you will back me up on that, right? We are very,
yes.
may not do anything for you. That's a different issue. But we are extremely friendly. So, it will be a good idea. And we have been talking to, some other technology platform, because see, now, like some time back, 1901 maybe, knowing English was the way to, power. Today, being IT is the way to power. You can't avoid it. To be successful, this is what the language of today. So every industry would be impacted by that. So
Yes.
so what we will like you to is become a part of us, and I think you should speak to this association where we don't want to put a common framework. With the tour operators, we have a common framework, but with
Yes.
any technology platform, we cannot have a common. Your specialty is to destroy and create new. So if we put you in a framework, it will be stop your progress. So we only say, this is the thing that we recognize you for this thing. So you're and I'll be happy if you come to us and bring, because ultimately it's about creating, employment. It's making convenience for the tourists, making India is a better place to travel. And I completely buy that, the worst thing is about India is about that safety. Even I'm sitting here, and the sanitation. See, we don't know much about crowds. India is a crowded country, it will remain so. This is something which cannot be wished away. But I think the safety, and I think that we all, we the government, you the travel, friends, we all have a responsibility to it. Because every time the word tout comes in, what do we do? Who is that person? So I think let's these real issues, and there's no point in talking about these issues don't exist. They very much exist. They are very much real. There's not am I on the wrong platform? India needs to be more travel friendly. We need to be do that. So I think that's something which is there. And I think coming to Mr. Natarajan Ramji's suggestions. Of course, I know about December, and everybody knows about your kacharis. So it's not very much known, and I have always been, not that I don't belong to Tamil Nadu. I'm a completely a Delhi person, but you'll be surprised how much of those 2 months. I think it's because we deal in numbers, it surpasses everything. And we will be very happy. Why don't you come give up? I just kept it on. You of that. We will like to take it forward.
Madam, if I can take your email coordinates and WhatsApp, I'll be happy to connect you.
Your voice is not coming
forward, because we want this to be mentioned at all Incredible India platforms. That's what.
I think Ashish would help us in doing that. We can actually have a specific promotional film which we can shoot. Because I completely agree, because about your kachari, there's nothing, no other thing is as huge and as well organized. So I'm a convert. I know about it. So let's do what we can do about it.
Thank you, madam.
About your film tourism, completely agree. And I think I'm happy to say that we have been writing to the various state governments, and some state governments have come out with some policies. I don't know whether they're enough or how much we can do. In Jammu and Kashmir also something is coming up. I'm sure you know. You are aware.
Yes, I'm aware.
You're aware of this thing. I think, but there is so much more to do. I mean, I'm sure. I hope we can do something like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara types. That we somehow like. I mean, there are so many road trips movies which are always a hit. I mean, I've not seen a road trip film. Somebody has to tell me that even coming from 60s and whether it's about that Roman holiday onwards. So I think it's a completely done thing. So I think we should do more. But I completely agree with you.
Thank you, madam. And I will take your coordinates and connect.
Please do that.
So thank you, everybody. Now I think we have just finished 90 minutes, and thank you for your good inputs. Ramji, Mr. Parulekar, we have learned about his business. Of course, Madhav Oza, Meenakshi ji for interactiveness and also being proactive in trying to improve things. And Seema for a corporate insight. And also we have also basically also come to some conclusions and derivatives that there could be things which we should do to grow our tourism. And this panel, which I've actually taken, which I was interested to be a moderator, I wanted to show the Atmanirbhar because each one of you are entrepreneurs. Each one of you have come from the grassroots levels. Of course, Meenakshi is the principal. I mean, I'm not, but she's also been interactive and, working with us. And with this, we go on this happy note that we see tourism to increase, we see tourism to open, we see domestic to increase, we see Mr. Ramji can get more movies being shot in India. We can see Mr. Parulkar saying very rightly that there should be regulations to regulate, because I also personally feel there could be, and there was this one article in the Bombay Mirror on this Sunday, which said that some people actually, took money for booking a stay vacation and issued receipts. And when the people went over there, that the owner did not know that it was there. So, all these things has to be regulated, has to be recognized, has to be licensed for it to give credibility, which is the most important thing, because customer also needs credibility that what he's paying, he should get. And with this, thank you very much, each one of you, for giving your time and energy to this seminar of ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Ashish, are you there?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pradeep, and your brilliantly put together panel. Meenakshi, as always, thank you very much. Madhav, Seema, and of course, Ramji. And I promise next time I'll certainly be with you in Brussels or one of your fantastic locations. It was, the whole purpose was to, and Devin, phenomenal. I think all your voices will help faith and the industry along with the government work together to build a new narrative. And this was your objective. Thank you so much for your time. And we promise that we will take on all your points and work very constructively with the central and state governments along with all associations and stakeholders. And for all our viewers around the world, I hope you enjoyed our session. They volunteered their time. And thank you for watching all over the world. Thank you for your questions, and we will get back to you with your responses. In the interest of time, we're not responding right now. And again, from Faith, thank you. This is Ashish, Consulting CEO. I request you all to go ahead and move on to our next module by clicking on that. Thank you very much, and thanks a lot. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.